After more than a year of anticipation leading up to Donald Trump's first criminal trial, it got underway Monday, offering a taste and some clues about the tone and legal strategies the next several weeks may bring. We got a glimpse of Mr. Trump's courtroom demeanor in a criminal trial. The prosecution's case finally crystallized around a grand theory of election interference as key witnesses laid the groundwork, and flashes of tension may have opened a rift between Judge Juan Merchan and Mr. Trump's lead attorney. A marathon for Trump. Something that became immediately clear in court is that this trial will be an endurance test, perhaps for Mr. Trump most of all. For the last year, the 77-year-old has actively campaigned for president during cases where he wasn't required to be present. Now, he must appear in court each day of this trial. That means Mr. Trump will sit for hours at the defense table. The former president appears thinner. He told Fox News in January that he lost weight, and his stride varies. At times, he moves slower, and at others, he confidently strides into courtroom. The same one where he sat a year ago for his arraignment, pleading not guilty to all 34 felony charges. Also, unlike previous civil trials, when Mr. Trump made audible comments from the defense table and argued with judges, he has been far more compliant. One interesting dynamic is how differently Trump, the criminal defendant, is behaving in comparison to Trump, the civil litigant, said Anna Kaminsky, a professor at New York Law School. We have seen a much more subdued and controlled Trump while he is in front of the jury. During the proceedings, he confers with his lead attorney, Todd Blanche, in urgent whispers. It's an incredibly difficult process to sit through, especially trials like this that may last many, many weeks, said Dmitry Shakhnovich, a criminal defense attorney in Manhattan. Mr. Trump repeatedly has aired his frustrations publicly. I'm not allowed to say anything, he told reporters stationed just outside the courtroom doors on Tuesday, after a hearing about his gag order. I'd love to say everything that's on my mind, he added. What we learned about the Manhattan District Attorney's case at the heart of the case is the alleged cover-up of a hush money payment Mr. Trump's lawyer made to an adult film star before the 2016 election. But prosecutors have hinted for months at something greater. This week, they solidified their case. This was a planned, coordinated, long-running conspiracy to influence the 2016 election, prosecutor Matthew Colangelo said in his opening remarks Monday. It was election fraud, pure and simple, Mr. Colangelo later added. They aim to convince the jury not only that Mr. Trump committed the misdemeanor of falsifying business records to hide a hush money payment carried out by his lawyer, but that he did so in order to conceal or aid a second crime, making the offense more serious. Prosecutors have suggested Mr. Trump sought to violate state or federal election laws and state tax laws, and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg hinted his team would pursue an election interference argument. Their first witness, former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, helped bolster this case. He testified about an agreement involving himself, Mr. Trump, and lawyer Michael Cohen to use the tabloid to boost Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign. Mr. Pecker testified he agreed to provide positive coverage of Trump and head off potentially damaging stories. Payouts Mr. Pecker facilitated to block one such story also may have run afoul of federal election laws, prosecutors suggested through the questioning. They have just started to scratch the surface of the conspiracy to affect the election, so it's yet to be seen how convincing their evidence is on this, Ms. Kaminsky said. In a cross-examination, Mr. Trump's defense attorney, Emil Bove, sought to paint such an arrangement as business as usual for Mr. Pecker, but some have told the BBC it is not clear state election statutes apply neatly to Mr. Trump's case, nor is it settled whether a state prosecutor can invoke a federal crime. I think the election interference theory that the prosecution is pushing raises the likelihood of a jury conviction, John Coffey of Columbia Law School said of the prosecution's approach. But it risks raising appellate and constitutional issues on appeal. Trump's lead attorney's rocky start with the court, in one of the most dramatic moments of the trial so far, Judge Merchan clashed with the defense during a hearing on whether or not Mr. Trump had violated a gag order. Mr. Blanche repeatedly ran afoul of the judge Tuesday in an episode that Mr. Coffey said did not augur well for him or for Mr. Trump. At the climax of a testy exchange, Mr. Blanche claimed his client was being very careful not to violate the gag order, and was merely responding to political campaign attacks. Kindly like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.